Good evening. Good evening. I don't know what's happening with this system. I just tried to go live and it wouldn't work. So if you're out there in YouTube land, let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. Before I start speaking, let me know if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? If you're in the chat and you can hear me, let me know. I'm struggling here. I click live and nothing happens. I'm not sure what's happening. Can you hear me? If you're in the chat, just indicate if you can hear me. I know I was supposed to start the show at 10 o'clock, but I decided to start it earlier since my schedule freed up a little bit. I think it's working. Let me know if you can hear me though. Trying to make sure I turn this up. If you're in the chat, let me know if you can hear me. Otherwise, I can't start the show. I'll just be talking to myself. It's working. Good night, recorder. Good night, vacation. Phone, ja. Bless up, people. Come in the chat. I'm away from home and I try to set up this system and I was having some trouble with it. So I'm not sure if it's working right, but you guys can tell me. I got a text from somebody this evening saying they need for me to have a show. So, and I was on the road and I came back to where I'm staying and said, okay, let me do something quickly. And I couldn't come up with any topic that is of interest to me per se. So I decided to just make it about you and not about me. So we're going to have what I call an open mic show. And some people just like to be in the background. They don't want to be heard. They don't want to be seen. They just want to listen and not necessarily partake. Or some just want to partake in written form. So they want to text. But I'm going to have an open mic tonight. But as usual, I'm going to have a little soliloquy. I'm not doing an award show this year because I learned my lesson from last year. Last year was an abomination unto the people. It didn't work out well. I spent a ton of time last year preparing for the show, and it didn't work out well. I was very disappointed. So I decided I'm going that avenue again. I'm going to do something. May not even do anything this year in terms of award show. So since it's an impromptu show, there's always a lot on my mind that I'm thinking about, want to talk about, and engage with you on. So bear with me. And I'm trying to make sure my system here is right because I'm aware I brought some things with me and others I didn't. And I acquired some stuff while I was away to make sure this worked well. So we'll see what happens. But a couple of things. So tonight is not about headlines. Well, it will be about some headlines. Tonight is about people, quite a bit. Everybody lived the same year. But no, I don't think any two people lived the same experience. Some of you lost loved ones. Some of you had new ones join your family. Some of you finally caught a break. Life may have been challenging. Some of you learned who were your true friends, who were your frenemies, who have your back, and who didn't. So I want to open the floor and have some conversations with you, if you want to partake in that. I'll probably share some personal experiences. And just use the word probably. But want to hear from you. And we don't want to hear any politically correct answers. Just, some frank discussion if you want to have the conversation. Bless up, Dr. Dan. Because sometimes the most powerful stories are not about politics or about celebrities. They're from regular people who go through challenges. And this year, people have gone through a lot of challenges, but also have a lot of triumphs that we probably should talk about. So think about things like, worst thing that happened this year. I'm sure for some people who are in Jamaica, it's around Melissa. If you're in Gaza, the ceasefires occurred. It's what has transpired for a while. If you're in Ukraine, it's about war. If you are in the US, I'm laughing before I say this. It may be about whoever's running your country. It may be your situation is you got deported under challenging circumstances. You're told that you had some exemption to stay in this country, and all of a sudden you go to report in and you're no longer there, and your life has been going through an upheaval. So anything could happen, right? So what was the worst moment for the year? What's the best moment? And I have something. And then if you think about it, what do you think are the sort of top 10? I want to talk about that. Top 10 moments of 2025. They could be tragedies, they could be triumphs, they could be anything, right? It could be breakthroughs, whatever it is. I would love to hear from you and we can have a conversation. I know it's not going to be a big crowd tonight, but we are here, so we should engage and have the conversation. I was thinking about what are some of the top moments of 2025 in my own mind. And the first one to me, this may sound strange me saying this. So Trump going back to office may be the number one from a worldwide perspective, to be honest. That may sound strange, but Trump going back to office or getting reelected and assuming the mantle of president of the United States, which is still the most powerful country, even though that's getting ready to change in the next couple of years, given China's continued rise. I think Trump may be, in my view, in a period of time, the most talked about person ever. The person who's been in the news the most in the history of mankind. And that may sound like an exaggeration and hyperbole, but I don't think it is, and I'll tell you why. So the one name in history that people talk about all the time, especially when it's something that's deemed bad, is Hitler. But I'm sure in Hitler's time, the propensity of information being disseminated on a daily, minutely, secondly basis to the world was not there. You didn't have that many outlets. I'm sure he was talked about continuously, especially given World War II and what transpired. And if you think about famous people like Muhammad Ali, for example, from a sports perspective, other celebrities, they're talked about. Winston Churchill maybe talked about a lot. But Trump is 24/7, 365 over a period of time. Let's say from he started running in 2015 to when he took the presidency in 2016, lost the presidency, and now reassume it. It's unbelievable the amount of the time, effort, news, everything that permeates this person, who has to be the number one narcissist. Narcissism for him it's innate, but he has to be number one in the history of mankind. Like the level of narcissism around him and ego is unprecedented. It's truly unbelievable. So I think he takes the chart, and maybe number two right behind him. This may sound strange, at least from a U.S. perspective, maybe not global, but global in some respects, is Jeffrey Epstein, which may seem like a contradiction and don't seem to be logical. But to me, it is, because that may be the thing that derails this person that consumes the news, right? So it's going to be interesting how that works out over time, where you're seeing it, because the reason why it's important globally is that everything that Trump does, in some respects, doesn't just have U.S. implications, they have global implications. So it's really interesting, actually. And the way he's sort of reshaping not only the U.S., but the world is really interesting. And making it more parochial, making countries become more isolationist. Sort of the whole concept of global, having people rethink that and be more focused internally. It's really interesting. He's reshaping global expectation, global perspective, global way of operating. I wouldn't call it overnight, but during his tenure. And he doesn't care because he's what we call a lame duck president, which is he only has one more term remaining. He's creating anxieties in NATO, trade wars with tariffs. He speaks with a certain, what I call, ghetto way of communicating. Now, ghetto isn't about being poor. Ghetto to me is a form of behavior, which is, people want to call it uncensored and it's pure and it's clean and it's straightforward. I have other words for that. I think it's crass. I think it's inhumane. I think it's divisive. It's just not how people should behave. And there are people who love him. Even people whose persuasion he doesn't like and probably hate, they love him. Because frankly, to me, they don't know better. Now, if we go through this, so I'm going to go to my top 10 quickly, and then we can talk about, or some of the things I think should be considered for the top 10. We can talk about the more personal stories. Now, if we think about global conflicts, the Ukraine situation with Russia, Gaza with Israel, we had Iran, Israel earlier, and which is continuing, but Iran barks more than it bites. We have the Sudan situation, civil war, which gets little or no airtime, where people are probably getting killed more there, maybe similar to what's happening in Ukraine or even more so. But because they have a certain persuasion, it doesn't really matter to a lot of people, even to the people who look like those people, which is really interesting. And the reason why is because our news and our information is controlled by some who don't really care. And so we are influenced by what we read and what we view. And we also influence in terms of our humanity by the said information, which is really interesting. So I think in 2025, conflicts have been normalized because the Ukraine war is going on for about 4 years now. The Gaza situation is probably throughout the history of human beings when that situation in the Middle East became what it is. We see the situation in Venezuela that's occurring, where the narrative that espoused to the public is that this is about drugs and fentanyl being shipped from Venezuela to U.S. shores, and over 80-something people have been killed. Some people say it's murder. When you bomb a boat or whatever it is you want to do, and you have survivors, and they're clinging on for life, and you kill those survivors. That's like when you have a war and somebody surrendered and you kill them. You can't justify that. Any rules, whether it's Geneva Convention, whether it's whatever it is you want to talk about, that's murder. You can't debate that. But what we're seeing is that might makes right. And so therefore you can do what the hell you want to do. You can get away with it so long as you have the bigger weapons and the more impactful weapons and the more destructive weapons. You can do that. And that's happening. And so in the Venezuela situation, it's clear this is about oil and nothing else, not about drugs. Fentanyl comes through Mexico to the US. They get chemicals, whatever it is, from China and processes the drugs. It's limited a little now come from Venezuela. But here's what's really interesting about the Venezuela situation. When Venezuela sneezes, Cuba catch pneumonia. That's what's happening. So Cuba, as you know, has been isolated, just like a North Korea, except North Korea can do behind the scenes trade with China. They can sustain their economy. Cuba doesn't have any such luck. So there's almost like an embargo on Cuba by the U.S. since Castro took over way back when, before he had support from Russia and maybe a little bit from China or whatever it is. But now Russia is can't even help itself. So in essence, in Cuba, things are getting dire straight in Cuba. Venezuela have been supporting them with oil, probably at a huge discount or even some free, and they have traded people back and forth in terms of Cuba's intelligence agency that oppresses its people, to be honest, helping Maduro stay in power. The U.S. squeezing Venezuela is causing major upheaval in Cuba. And don't be surprised if Cuba government also gets overturned by the effects from what's happening in Venezuela. But the whole goal of Venezuela is oil. Obviously, what's his name, who was head of Venezuela, the previous president, nationalized a number of those industries like oil. And obviously, U.S. countries got kicked out. And oil has been selling on the black market because the U.S. sanctioned Venezuela quite a bit. They're the ones causing all the people from Venezuela to be leaving Venezuela. 500,000 has come to the U.S. from Venezuela, and they've gone to other Latin American countries because the economy has been shredded by the U.S. sanction. So Cuba is going to struggle. So the U.S. is reshaping this part of the world where we see, not dictatorial, but conservative governments being elected in Argentina, in Chile, and we see them wanting to overthrow the government of Venezuela, not because they're altruistic or they want to help the people in the country. They just want the oil. They want to do what they do in Guyana, where Exxon is totally just reaping so much from Guyana and giving Guyana so little of their own damn oil. And the people in Guyana who signed those contracts with Exxon should go to jail. Literally should go to jail. Like, those contracts are ridiculously favorable to Exxon, but nobody's complaining, because that's what normally happens when you have people who either don't have the intellectual capacity to negotiate those deals appropriately and get a fair deal, or they just are corrupt, and therefore they do things in their own favor and at the expense of their country. So that's sad. Other points I want to make is the what we call the middle class recession, high interest rates, not only to the U.S. Rent and insurance are challenging, especially in the U.S. and a lot of places. Or housing, a lot of places across the world has gotten really expensive. Even in places in Jamaica, for example, where people who are local can't really buy those properties because either the diaspora or foreign investors are buying them up, and those people there can't afford them. So people get priced out of their own country in terms of housing. And then we think about the collapse of the traditional media, which actually, I think, in my view of the traditional media is I think the media has always been compromised, but we didn't realize it. It's amazing when someone who comes along who don't give a damn about anything and who's dictatorial and doing things a certain way, and you realize that what you thought was objective, unbiased, people were the guardian of information and of truth and righteousness and integrity, you realize that that was not the case. The news you were consuming was always biased. It's just that people like Trump brought it out and made it very obvious. So about, is it 2 years now? I stopped reading. I used to subscribe to the New York Times for years, maybe 20 years. I stopped subscribing to the New York Times after I see how they wrote about the situation in Gaza and realized, and even though I've always had skepticism about just media in general, it was never at this level, because I always believe that people have integrity and a lot of these people would be unbiased, even though the organization may be driven by profit. And then you realize after you read certain things, because now you have so many different outlets providing information, you compare and contrast, you realize that the people who you held at a certain level from an esteem standpoint, that they don't deserve to be held that way, that they're just like everybody else, that some of them are just as corrupt as everybody else. And what Trump has done, as we saw more recently when CBS pulled a 60-minute episode where they had done and going to do an expose about people were deported to El Salvador to be in those inhumane conditions. And because they didn't get, I'm going to call it the approval from the White House, because they talked about needing to get communicate with the White House and all sort of nonsense. It shows you that they're compromised. And here's the thing. Why aren't people boycotting CBS? Why aren't people boycotting traditional media? Now, a lot of people have moved away from traditional media. As you can see from the cable companies suffering. But people should boycott these outlets. If they're not going to be fair and unbiased, if they're not going to provide you information objectively, why should you even read them, listen to them, support them? You shouldn't, because they don't deserve to be. So I am extremely disappointed. But then again, the way things have worked out in life in general is that you should always take disappointment and use it for your own good, some way, shape, or form. Learn from it, assess it, dissect it, and leverage it to continue to improve as a person. And then we see immigration in Europe become a global flashpoint. Well, immigration generally across the world, whether it's people immigrating to the U.S. and what's being done, which is a lot, it is inhumane. Whether people are immigrating from maybe developing countries to the more industrialized countries, and the pushback, whether it's Australia, Europe, the US. And here's the interesting thing. So all these countries, and a lot of them have a certain persuasion, they go into these developing countries way back when, rob them of their resources, totally destroy them, kill their leaders, or undermine their leaders, take all their resources and go to their country and build their country up and beat their chests about how smart they are. And then when those people want to go to their country, those countries to, you know what? Because they want a better life, and probably some of the resources that these people took, they're complaining and are upset and are losing their minds. Dr. Don is saying, the man is crazy. They can't be because of Communication Act nonsense. What do you mean, Dr. Don? Elaborate. I'm not sure I get that. But Europe is hardening its borders. All these countries are increasing deportation. There's a refugee fatigue that's set in. And then some people are just debating the moral versus economy. Because if the industrialized countries had any sense of humanity, bless up Crumblen too, what they would do actually is help these countries evolve, develop, and be self-sufficient, and not sending their intelligence services to undermine them and marginalize them and even kill them when they're not espousing their views and they're not aligned with their government. So they create the situation. So just think about it. Think about Latin America or the Caribbean. A lot of people leave there. Most people leave there is because of economics, right? They want to improve their economic situation. And violence and crime is part of the main reason why they also leave, not only the economy, and a lot of that, as I've always said, a lot of the guns that permeates these countries and these environments clearly come from the US. Cranky, what is the feasibility of Jamaica becoming a hub for data centers for AI if the electric grid can be established? Yeah, I mean, people don't realize this, but AI uses so much energy that is driving up the price of electricity in the US, especially in certain locales, places like New Jersey, for example. AI is like, you ever see those shows, those goblins where just gobble stuff up? But the problem is, then they spread the cost of the electricity to you and I, which is really interesting, actually. Bless up, Conrad. Dr. Don, good night. How you doing? Bless up, Conrad.
Cranky, did I interrupt your soliloquy?
No, go ahead. It's an open mic night.
I called because we're talking about AI. And you know how our first conversation was about AI way some months back, and I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But I recently saw an article online where Bill Gates said AI is gonna, next 10 years, they're gonna take over doctors. You won't need any doctors. Did you see it?
No, I haven't seen that, but we talked about that.
Yeah, I mean, Cranky, I think in certain aspect I do believe that, but how a surgery, I mean, at least surgery, you need AI doing surgery. I don't know if I agree with that, and I don't even think that's special. Would you have an AI go in and go cut your heart out, Cranky? You wouldn't even do that.
So let me say this, people, because this is really interesting, because this is Dr. Don, who's a doctor, a real doctor, by the way. He's not a doctor of philosophy. He's a doctor of the human body. The misconception we have as human beings is we believe that we're so intelligent and we're so superior being, and our comparative are the lions and the tigers and the gorillas. It's not even aliens. I have no such misconception. I think an AI could do a much better job of doing surgery than a human being.
Nah, but Cranky,
let me expound upon that. I never ever thought a car could drive itself. You just think about that. I have never thought a car could drive itself. You just think about that, people. The car is driving itself. Just think about this. There is nobody around the steering wheel driving it, telling it when to turn, telling it there's a stop sign, telling it can cross 4 or 5 lane highway. That's never envisioned. I know we had movies and you can press a button and go some places. We never envisioned a car driving itself, right? If you can think about that as one example of car driving itself, more people probably die, as much people probably die from surgery as they die from car accidents or vehicle accidents. In the US, I think it was like 50,000 a given year. So not so much people die from surgery, but it's a lot. But it's a lot, people.
The numbers in surgery is much lower than.
But what I'm trying to make is that more people die, and yet we're going to have people drive cars by themselves, even though it's more dangerous than having surgery.
So how you propose, Cranky, between you and that? Because you did a lot of reading on AI. I've started to do that. How do you propose, quote unquote, AI does surgery on a human being? How do you propose that?
So I assume at some point the robot is going to be. It's all about data and information. The robot will be given information about a person, where all the organs reside, what the measurement is for each organ, what the measurement is for your chest to get to a given organ. It will then be told what you need to do when you're doing the surgery. When you go in, how you line everything up, how you measure it, how you do your penetration, cut, whatever you surgeons do. It's going to be extremely exact. Now, it will make some mistakes because it's human beings programming it. But at some point, it will start programming itself. It will learn from its mistakes, and we continue to do better.
What if I would tell you there's already robotic surgeries?
Yeah, but human beings are guiding that, right?
Exactly. So that's what I was saying. So there are robotic surgeries right now where human beings are guiding. But, Crank, you got to understand, not everybody, human being, has the organ is in different position. It's similar. It's in the area, right? Okay. So in medical school, I went to medical school during pandemic, right? And during pandemic, I was in medical school. And because of the pandemic, we couldn't actually go on human being to do anatomy and physiology. The first year I was able to do that, but the second year we had to do the anatomy machine, right? Which is like, it's like similar to AI. It pulls up the whole anatomy and then like 3D function. You can just pick the organ. They can tell you everything about it. So obviously human being programmed that, right? Yep. That was very useful. I would say that, but you don't get the same feel as a human being because in that machine, looking at a perfect human being, that means the organs is everywhere it's supposed to be. But that's not the case. Like for instance, some people, we have the gallbladder removed, right? But in a perfect machine, the gallbladder is going to be there, right? So it's like, how do I know where the location of the gallbladder is by looking at that? So that aspect of it.
So I assume that at some point we'll have machines and systems that allow us to. We have that now in some respects, but for each individual, before you do the surgery, if you're going to do it by AI, to identify where each of those organs reside, exactly where they are. You can drink something nowadays, right? And they give you some of that information. You'll be able to have machines that allows you then to see where every single thing resides. It'd be something that's really thought through before they ventured on that road, but it will get there. It'll get there. I mean, think about driving. Not everybody drive the same. So robots driving on the road with human beings, and human beings are impetuous. Human beings make decisions. They make mistakes. They make errors. The robot have to react. In fact, they were saying that when you self-driving cars in Manhattan are becoming as aggressive as the human beings because they have to get to where they want to get to in a timely manner. Right? So in essence, I know as human beings, we think that we're the epitome of this universe. And we believe that nothing can do anything that we do. But AI is showing us that we're infantile when it comes to this. Just look at the speed of execution of AI. Now, AI is still very primitive, to be honest, right? It's still very primitive in a lot of respects, but it's also open your eyes as to what the possibilities are as you use it more and more and as it learns more and more. The possibilities are endless. So whether it's lawyers, I see lawyers being replaced, doctors being replaced. Here's what's interesting. I said that to somebody today. I was at somebody's home. We're talking about different disciplines and today, what I do most time talk to people who I've spoken to before is my first question is, what do you do and how will AI affect your job? Because it's about timing. Is it today? Is it tomorrow? Is it 5 years from now? Is it 2 years from now? It's all about timing. It's inevitable. And the one question I ask myself, and I keep asking people, is human beings don't really exist without work, People haven't thought about that. Everybody want to retire, like yours truly. Everybody want to have freedom. What people don't realize is that what does life look like without work? And the way life has been set up, what we have done is we have taken a barter type system and we use currency to trade what we do. You're a plumber. You can fix my sink. I can do something. You're a lawyer. You can help me in court. The plumber get the currency. So example, the lawyer representing the plumber represent me as a homeowner, or a retiree. Each of us, when we do, if you don't think barter is it, the plumber is giving a service, a physical service. The lawyer is giving you can call it a physical service, what service is giving. And the way we trade that is through currency. Now, if I don't have a job, people, just think about this, and I don't know how to do plumbing, who's going to fix my sink? Who's going to fix my shower? Who's going to fix who's going to fix anything for me? Because I can't pay them. I don't have any resources. But it's for every discipline. Because the lawyer ain't going to get paid. The plumber ain't going to get paid. Your rent ain't going to get paid. The company can't get money. So I'm not sure governments and people have thought through the implications of this and what it actually means. Which if you don't, people talk about UBI, you get some subsidy and some income. That's nonsense. Nobody want to work, but that's one of the things why communism failed. Because human beings have to be incentivized to work. And if they're not getting incentive that marries with their abilities, they're not doing it. So how does this word function without work? I have no idea. I don't have that solution. But I think it's an interesting one. And I think it's going to be a revelation for people, even the people who own the AI and making all the money. At one point, they're going to realize that they can't survive, exist, or enjoy life without the society having some modicum of resources to provide to them or to facilitate transactions in the world. It's going to be really interesting. I mean, probably after my time, we get to that point in totality. But every day you hear more and more about AI's capability, and you realize that this is concerning. This is concerning. And doctors shouldn't feel safe. Lawyers shouldn't be safe. I'm not even sure that matters as much, to be honest, people. Because if doctors are making all the money on lawyers and the accountants and the clerks and the paralegals and the plumbers ain't making no money, then how does that work?
Yeah. I mean, I do agree with that, Harold. I mean, I do feel like that we're trending towards AI running everything. There's going to be a lot of people that lose jobs, and then it's going to actually affect the economy. But I just think that AI cannot, what's the word I'm looking for? It cannot replace certain human to human interaction. I mean, like I said,
so it can't replace you and I engaging, but it can replace what you and I do. And I said to somebody once when I was in the UK, I was working, and people in Europe are a little bit different from in the US, for example, and even in Jamaica, whereby they believe in quality of life, which means spending time with their families and traveling the world before they start college and things, and then they are after college before they start working. And I said to them that, I think money is probably the most important thing in life. And they lost their minds. Literally, some of them. Some of the senior people lost their minds. And I said to them, okay, so wouldn't you spend most of your time with the most important thing in your life? Is that logical? What's most important? Would you spend more time with it than anything else?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. And they were spending 15 hours a day at work. So they only have 10 hours left in the day. And I'm sure they weren't spending 10 hours with their family. So it's the most important thing to them. They had to go sleep. They have to go eat or go to someplace else before they go home. They got to travel home. You're spending 12 to 15 hours a day. That means most of your time is spent at work, which will generate money, not with your family. Now, you may say the money is to help your family, but you're still missing the point. It's not spending quality time with your family. So if most important is where you spend your time, then it has to be at the money, because that's the reason why you're at work. But people don't think that way. Because if they did, it wouldn't resonate well with them. They wouldn't know what to do with themselves. They wouldn't. And I smile when they keep telling me how important their families, and why aren't you home with your family? Why you go to another job then? If this job is paying you so much money, that's the reason why you're here, because money drives it. Go get a job paying you less to spend more time with your family. They're not doing that because they want that quality, so-called quality of life, which is the works afford them. So the money is the most important thing to them. which then generates, it's a means to an end, but it's that means that's most important.
So Cranky, let me pivot to the money and the happiness, right? I can use myself as an example. I will say this year is the happiest I've been in 8 years. 8 years.
Why you pay off all your student loan?
No, I was severely depressed. As I told you, I'm the only black doctor in my at my hospital, but I just wasn't happy going to work. I remember getting discriminated on. I went to go see a patient, and the patient looked at me and was like, "Hey, are you gonna rob me?" and start screaming. And the other people in the hospital, the room came in, and can you believe they did not say anything or even come again, like, say something on my behalf. So what I did, I just developed, I became maladaptive. So basically I changed my personality to someone who I wasn't. And I just was like, I became this type of person. I just felt as if I was like complaining a lot. And I was also comparing myself to other people because I'm like, I don't want to be here. I would wake up in the morning, I don't even want to go to work. I would dread it. Like I'll go there and then I don't even interact with anybody. I stay in the corner to the point where my other coworkers was like how they look like I don't want to be there. I'll be working and not paying attention, which is true. And then I had to find myself again. I feel like the money didn't matter. I only happy when the money hit my account. Other than that, I didn't care. You know what I mean? So wait.
You didn't care if the money hit your account?
No, because I was just like, some days I did, some days I didn't, because I was just unhappy. But for the most part, like I was happy when the money hit, but some days I'm like, I don't care. I just want to quit. You know what I mean?
How would you feel if you didn't get any money at all?
How would I feel?
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably go crazy because I have over 200,000.
So you'd probably be worse off than you were.
Correct.
So it's about degrees. So yeah, the money is an imperative.
Yeah, the money is imperative, but sometimes I'm telling you, I just wasn't happy going to work. I started looking for other jobs, but the problem was when you're in a contract, I'd have to go through too much nonsense to get out of the contract. But I just wasn't happy. Now, Cranky, I wake up early, go to work. I feel good. I smile now. I talk to people who I didn't used to talk to before. It's just like I changed my mindset. I'm like, I just need to get back to things that used to make me happy. Just get back to be me. You know what I mean?
So what generated that? What caused that change?
I think I recently passed my final board exam, and now it's like I don't feel like I'm an imposter. You know, the imposter syndrome is real. I'm like, listen, I am just as intelligent as you guys are. I deserve to be here, although I'm Black. I don't care how much experience you guys have. We took the same exam and I passed it just like you. So that imposter syndrome is gone. So now I walk in there with my shoulder up, that confidence, like around. I've always done it for the patients, but when I'm around like other doctors and coworkers. So now I have that, and it's so far like my personality, my woman that even seen the change in my personality. She used to like, what's wrong with me? Like, I mean, like question my ability as a man, and then we get into arguments. I'm like, yo, relax. You know?
Yeah. Look, I think we all get judged about intellect some way, shape, or form. That's almost innate human being in terms of how we assess and judge each other. And also, people of certain persuasion are not given the benefit of the doubt when it comes to intellect. So your situation is not unique. You know, Charlie Kirk, who died, once basically said, if he's going on a plane and see a doctor and it's a Black doctor, he has a lot of concern because he doesn't know if he's qualified. Which then means, and all those pilots, frankly, have to take a similar test and have the qualification before they get to fly a certain number of hours, but they get to fly certain planes. But when society have built that up, when the people in charge have built that up, when the people are using their so-called superiority as a way of denigrating and belittling other people, then that will occur. We ourselves, it's so bad that even the people of the same persuasion are going to feel that way. It's just like how we have less sensitivity to a person like us being killed versus somebody else in other parts of the world. If it's a Caucasian in Ukraine, people are very concerned. So a black person in Sudan, there's less concern. We're desensitized to the people like us who may be going through adversity or who are dying because we consume the news for people who have no empathy and sympathy for us. Don't give a damn. So it makes it interesting. So I'm glad you're in a better place though, Dr. Don.
Oh yeah. I mean, I had to just channel myself and be like, okay, these people don't, you know what I mean? These people don't care about me. But to be honest with you, I only have a few more months on my contract and I'll be moving away. So I'm gonna get into a fresh start and all that stuff. I just don't I like to work amongst my own people sometimes. But it's better, man. I'm much better. Yeah.
You know that's really interesting actually, and I think people sometimes don't understand what that entails because the majority always find that to be a problem, but they haven't spent time looking around them and realize that everybody around them look like them. If you feel that way, they think you're a bad person. They don't realize that you only work around people all the times who are like them. You know, when I was in corporate, 99% of the time I'm in a board meeting or in a certain environment, I'm the only person there. At some point, you get desensitized to it. You're just like, you don't even think about it, right? And what you saw over time was that it wasn't mainly just Caucasians anymore. So Indians and Asians are considered part of Indians, but I bifurcate them. So say it's a Chinese or a Vietnamese or a person from South Korea, they are now becoming part of that fabric, that area, that place, that environment. And that's not considered strange, and they're not treated differently in some instances. But yet you are sometimes treated differently because it's almost like there's a hierarchy. You're at the bottom of the hierarchy. Everybody else is a part of the hierarchy. And it starts with the Caucasian and ends with the Hispanic and the blacks. And it operates that way throughout the entirety of society. It's really interesting how that works. And if you're in that environment, people think that, you know what, how did he get here? Is it DEI why he's here? Even though DEI is actually mislabeled, but is it DEI or is it because he was given some affirmative action type thing versus you may have gotten there based on just your ability to do the job? It's really interesting.
I think these people who's crazy about DEI, they don't understand it, but they're also afraid of letting in people in the door. Because say, for instance, Cranky, you and I's friend, they let me in the door, right? I'm going to hire you who just as educated and has the credential, so you're black, then you're going to hire somebody else. So it's like you open the floodgates. So because they don't want to let us in, they try to hold us down. So that's the problem. Because when I listen to a lot of people talk from Congress, Cranky, they are just not as intelligent as us, we're just as intelligent as they are, but because they don't want us in the door. Some of these people are not good. I'm not gonna lie to you, Cranky. When I watch a lot of people at my job, I'm like, how did you become a doctor? Jesus Christ. I ask that question, you know? But I realized a lot of them are legacy kids, like me. So like your mom was a doctor, so you'll call the company or you call the school, like, let my kids in. They still have to do the work though, but I'm just saying.
Well, nepotism is pervasive, right? And if you go to a Harvard or a Yale or a Brown or any Ivy League schools, you'd be surprised how many alumni's kids are there. So they used to have a setup where they allocate slots for people based on different factors, right? And different categories. A lot of alumni kids get into some of those schools just because their dad or mom went there. Because the school understand that those people have generated a lot of resources and contribute to their endowment. So they'll put their kids in. It's almost like it's like a pay-for-play system, which you don't want to admit to, but it happens. So that's not surprising. It is actually very frustrating because the general population then gets left out of that whole equation because they don't have the same, what we call in Jamaica, links. They don't have the same associations. They don't have the same affiliations that allows them to get that access. So they struggle.
Yeah, that's true. Man, Cranky. Let's do the thing this weekend or next week. I'm down whatever time free.
So people, what Dr. Don is talking about is we want to talk about certain diseases that primarily are applicable to the Black persuasion. So Black people. Because we believe education is key when it comes to these things. And we think sometimes we don't spend enough time educating ourselves about our bodies and things that can afflict us. And what are those things? How do we identify them? How do we remedy them? What are the preventive measures that we have? Things of that nature. So we want to do a session that talks about some of these diseases, what they entail. So for example, say a diabetes, different type of diabetes, what they are, or say hypertension. Just have that conversation, and you can be part of the program. You may be afflicted with one of these diseases. You can call and give your perspective, or one of your family members may be. You may want to be educated and be more informed. So we want to have some of those conversations. So we'd love for you we'll figure out a day and a time. It's holiday season, so it's a little bit challenging. And I'm on the road, meaning I'm not in my base in New York. But we want to have those conversations, and you can be part of it.
Yeah, I'll feel a lot more comfortable if we just make it an open-ended question and answer, because everybody, people have questions, and we can just answer and educate each other, because I'm still learning. I don't know everything. I know the common things that we see. I also want to educate, especially my people. Obviously, I'm a Black man. Us Caribbeans, we tend to get affected by the diabetes in what we call sugar in Jamaica, right? Sugar and then high blood pressure, right? So we get.
But is it just Caribbean? This is Blacks in general, Black people in general, Africans, U.S. Blacks, Caribbean Blacks. It's just Latin America. It's Blacks in general. I would assume, correct? Yeah.
So it's us and like the Latinos, that because our diet, like white people don't put seasoning on their food, most of them, but it's like it's us and the Caribbeans and brown people, because we eat a lot of high salt, high sugar diet. But for the viewer standpoint, which is majority of viewers is the Caribbean, that's what I'm trying to say in terms of like the Caribbean. So I'll be speaking in terms of the viewers' purposes.
Okay. No, I mean, look, it's always good to be educated and be informed. High blood pressure, diabetes, they're very prominent in our communities, and the effects are devastating when you get to a certain point. So it's always good to be educated and be informed, and for people to participate. People sometimes are reluctant, Black men especially, are reluctant to go to the doctor. It's amazing what happens. It's like not taking your car to the mechanic, and something may be wrong with it. At some point, it's going to break down on you.
What's crazy, Frankie? I know a lot of people is gonna share this, but colonoscopy, right? Like, a lot of people is getting colon cancer. Do you know that colon cancer is one of the disease, the cancer that can be prevented the most? But we don't, Black people tend to not want to go because you have to put something in the anus, and how Black people are, Jamaican in general, you're not doing that stuff. So then what happened is a lot of people come in, they're already in stage 4, they can't be saved. A lot of different things we need to be educated on, and it's just our point of view in certain things is like what is detrimental to us as a people sometimes.
Yeah, no, I do think it's important to have those conversations, and we should have more of those sessions. Some people just want to talk about sports or whatever it is, and that's their prerogative. I believe we should be versatile in the topics that we talk about on this program and the areas that we pursue, and so I'd love to have some of those conversations. So definitely.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea, especially this holiday right now, where a lot of people are going to be drinking, so they end up getting what we call atrial fibrillation, which is irregular heartbeat, which is in more so my domain. They call it the holiday heart. So
okay.
And then also a lot of people come in the hospital the day after because they forget to take their medication, or they eat. Like for people with blood pressure, they eat all these different things and they forgot to take the medication. They end up coming to the hospital the next day. So usually I see a high number of people come to the hospital the day after holiday because, they drink, they're happy, all that stuff, and they forget to take the medication. Then you have to stabilize them and all that stuff. So little things that we can do to prevent ourselves going in and out of, situations. But I think it's a good idea. We can just have that talk. I'm down, I have time now already. I'm not studying for my exam anymore, so I have a lot of time to give right now.
Right. So you and I will link and we'll think about what's the best time, because I'm on the road and it's a little bit challenging for me because I'm not at home. But now we're going to link up and try to figure out what's the best time for us to have that conversation. And people want to make sure you bring your friends and family, especially those who may be afflicted or want to learn more about these diseases, to be part of that conversation.
Yeah, and try to we're okay to try to make it like a question and answer, Cranky. So if you can probably do a panel type style. People can come in and like, you know, ask questions. You can do it like that, like so open-ended type thing.
Or you can come on and we have the phone, people calling on the phone. Actually, that may be even a bit better.
Yeah, any way is possible. I mean, you can do a moderator, like, you know, you can be the moderator, like have it open to say with different people. Yeah. All right, Cranky Man, I hop off and listen to you, but yeah,
right. I'm almost done. I'm only going to come on for an hour. I'm not going to stay much longer, actually.
Okay, makes sense.
All right. Thanks, Dr. Dan. Yeah. So look, I mean, as I said, it's an impromptu show. Me just said to come on. I haven't been on for a little while because I've been traveling. I drove down to Georgia from New York. Interesting drive. Every time I drive down, I say I'm not doing it again. I keep doing it. But it's very interesting. But, you know, 2025 is almost over. It's amazing, to be honest, how quickly the year go. The years doesn't seem like they used to be, actually. I'm not sure why that's the case. When in a certain environment, the years go by slowly. In others, it goes by quickly. I thought now that I'm retired, it would be a slower drag, but maybe things like YouTube keep me busy. And so therefore, it's not that slow drag I anticipated. This was a very interesting year, whether it's in sports or just people in general, what's happening in the world. And I'm sure 2026 is going to be even more challenging, more entertaining, especially as it relates to where AI is, where AI, you hear Dr. Dan and I talk about AI, where AI is today, where AI is going, and implications to AI. I think 2026 is going to be a really interesting year. I think a lot of people are going to get displaced by AI, probably just in general. I think we'll see the resolution, good or bad, of the Venezuela situation, which have implications for countries like Cuba and for the US, because you can't be the world's police, but then you're also part of the people who are overthrowing governments. You can't be espousing one thing on one hand and doing the thing that you're fighting against on the other hand. That's hypocritical. That makes no sense. You can't tell China not to invade Taiwan, but then you want to invade Venezuela. Or you're saying Russia shouldn't do what they do in Ukraine, and yet you're saying you want to take over Venezuela, even though you may not like the government, or people may not like the government. The government may not be good for its people. That's really interesting dynamics. Crumblem says, if you were raising an 18-year-old right now, they're going to go to college, what major would you advise them to pursue? So I don't have an 18-year-old. I have kids who are a little bit, I call them kids that are older than 18. My niece and nephew, and we've been having the conversation a lot of late in the house, actually. So my niece was doing computer science. She's a junior. And we agree she should stop doing it. We basically agree she should shut it down, especially they're teaching her language. What should they were teaching her? I don't remember what language, which was dated. It probably was Java, actually. And I was like, you need to stop. Let's revisit. She want to go to law school eventually. And even there, I'm a little bit skeptical. I don't have the answer right now, to be honest, because unless you are going to be part of AI, like build AI system, or know how to keep on enhancing AI system, which is very few people know how to do. Don't let people fool you about, oh, we should get re-educated about AI. This is not like the industrialized revolution or move to technology. This is totally different. Because the reason why it's different is in those scenarios and situations, we still have the intelligence and information that we utilize to get things done. And our brain is a computer. Just think about the brain. You know, we talk about computers, that's what our brain is. So when you replace the computer with another computer, why do you need that old computer? Except the old computer was the one who built the new computer that's going to replace it. So it's a brilliant question. The people who do the more manual jobs now, which people say robots can do, but if you're a nurse, because human beings want to engage human beings, that means something you want to do. If you're expert as it relates to, or you have disciplines around AI, you want to pursue something in that discipline, whatever that entails. If you are a plumber or a tradesperson, you still have some time left to do that discipline, electrician, plumber, whatever it is. But if you are an accountant, if you're a lawyer, if you're I say accountant, like first year, second year, third year accountant, your first year auditor, your first year tax preparer, your first year person who do financial statements, you are paralegal, you are marketing for a company, you're a writer, you write lyrics, you write music, you write for newspapers, you write for any program, you're an artist. I'm gonna be blunt. Your ass is in trouble. I hate to tell you that. You're in trouble. Real trouble. It's not makeup trouble, real trouble. Even though it's a lot of people in sales. If you're a salesperson who sell cars, for example, even though that's not tomorrow, think about it. People will do, you have information at your fingertip now to negotiate transaction. You don't need nobody to sell you no car and give you extra stuff you don't want. You can go on AI and AI tell you exactly what the car is, car price is, comparative is, whatever it is, and you go buy your car. So you can do like what Tesla does, which is online orders. You don't need no salesperson selling you. So there are a lot of disciplines which are becoming obsolete. And a lot of in college, the whole way of learning will change. In fact, the question is, why do you have to learn in certain things anymore? Like, why do you have to learn how to write? I think you got to learn how to think than to write more than anything else, because Copilot and we're going to write it, and AI is going to write everything for you. Right? So it's going to be really interesting. You have that in your palm of your hand. You don't have to go to the library anymore. So it's going to be interesting in terms of in college. I think universities are all going to struggle. They're going to struggle about what to teach, what people should learn, and how it will help them. And that's why you hear me go back to the old concept of, if human beings don't work, what the hell does that mean? If you don't have a job, what does that mean? If you don't have a job, why do I need to go to school? That means the whole educational system doesn't work anymore. That means you don't need universities. You don't need colleges. Probably don't even need high school. It's really interesting how that dynamic would play out. And then who's going to be the ones who are helping to improve the AIs if over time people are not already going to school in the traditional sense? So I think society will change materially over time. The question is, what would it look like? What would it be like? And I think people are trying to figure that out. A lot of countries were racing to win this so-called AI battle. I'm not sure they sit down and think about, what does it mean to win AI? You're probably going to displace your people faster than the other countries who haven't won the AI battle. Everybody's trying to be that number one because they believe it's going to help them to be much more productive, much more effective, much more efficient. They're going to be the dominant country. You may be, but you also may be destroying your entire fabric of your society. The fundamentals of it, what make it a society. Because that's about human beings. And AI can't function on its own, at least not currently. So it's really interesting. So if you're going to college now, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I normally have advice and solutions for most things. Right now, unless you're going to major in something that has to do with AI, how you develop AI systems and all that, there is, to me, no sure given profession out there which is not susceptible to what AI does. So it's going to be a combination of physical labor, which are robots, and intellectual capital, which are what the software does. That's going to be new hardware. It's really interesting. Some people think that AI is an alien come in a different form, because we always think about another being as having our physical bodies, right? And we don't realize that the body just contains a brain that does everything. Because you see somebody lying in a casket, that body is now useless because the brain is gone. The brain doesn't function anymore. So the body is just a vessel to do whatever that brain wants it to do. At some point, the brain no longer exists. The body doesn't really matter anymore. It's just a big mound of flesh, basically. So it's going to be interesting. So, Crumble, I'm sorry, I don't have a good answer for you. I read a lot of stuff about this and talking about what professions will still exist. And, they talk about reviewers, so people who do the reviews now. But if it's people who are managers and do reviews and do assessment and are top of the food chain in the middle of it, at some point they're going to replace it also. But what's really interesting is, how do people get elevated from junior to more middle to senior if the entry-level jobs are already taken? I think what will happen is the AI will get better. So you won't need to review anymore. The AI will review itself, or another AI will review another AI, like I use when I do certain things. Now, at some point, the company is going to be run by AIs. You don't need no senior executive making a lot of money. Person who owns the AI will say, I don't need you. But I know we spend a lot of time on AI, but it's important because between AI and climate change, which people like Trump don't believe in because he doesn't give a damn because he knows he's almost 80 years old, his time here is short. You don't give a damn what happened to the world after he leaves. Most selfish man in the history of mankind, possibly. Between floods and heat waves and hurricanes and droughts, and then to insure those, and insurance company pulling out of certain markets, it's crazy. Housing market destabilized because of nature. I think the world has been more violent. Because every year the world gets less violent, which may sound strange actually. But I think it has so much upheaval, and it's going to be even more drastic upheaval. And the one thing humans being do really, really well, is that when things go bad, they take adverse actions. So we see that work. So what is Cornwallian Live saying? We're not talking football tonight. No, this is not a football night. We can talk football if you want. It's an open mic night. Didn't talk about anything. And I'm going to close it down soon, actually. Not sure what to talk about football. People want to talk football. They want to talk Jamaican football or EPL football. My team, Arsenal, played today. I was extremely unhappy. Arsenal scored today. Well, Arsenal... No, we didn't score. The opposition scored against us today. I never can tell you. I didn't bat an eyelid. I was so annoyed. I wasn't even happy. I don't care if we lose. We are really just... We have played 3 games in the last couple of weeks, and we haven't scored a goal from open play. And the opposition have scored 3 of those goals, and we have won 3 games. We scored 4 goals, won 3 games, and we scored 1 goal from a penalty. But the opposition gave us the goal because they hand the ball for God knows I know what reason. It's crazy. Totally crazy. And in terms of Jamaica football, there's nothing to talk about there. I'm sure Rudolph Speed and his people are put together his team and his support staff to help him qualify for the World Cup. Good luck with that. See, Congo played today, they played Benin today, and they won 1-0. Very hard to score on. That team is very hard to score on. And one thing we don't do is score goals, so that should be interesting. And now we had Manning Cup and the Costa Cup and Stets won, and I watched the Excelsior versus JC game. Then I hear the commentary that people are talking about was supposedly people in Jamaica were supposed to be experts in football, and they're talking about what Excelsior did and didn't do. And I wonder if they know anything about football. JC was, to me, just a better team. Excelsior won the game because JC didn't play smart. They tried to play it from the back and gave away the first goal. And second goal was always going to come, but I didn't came from a long, was it a throw in or a corner, one of them, but I thought JC was a better team. They just didn't play smart. Have you seen any decline? Crumb Blem have the question today. He says, have you seen any decline in the presence of China in Jamaica? Trump administration has people back to focus on doing Western. No, and I think I don't think there's been any less presence. I mean, look, they came in, they built up a lot of the roads and all that. A lot of your products have been sold in Jamaica. A lot of your products. When I was in Jamaica, I spoke to one of the companies that sell BYD type products. And as I mentioned before in the previous program, I recorded this session. It was a half an hour. The person was great. It was over by the AC Hotel. And I lost it. I didn't record I thought I recorded the whole session for half an hour and realized that my mic was out. So I missed that. And that was very disappointing. But we had a great conversation talking about China, because my philosophy is this. I think Jamaica's biggest asset, frankly, is sunshine. That may sound strange, given the energy you can get from sunshine. And Jamaica should have been spending all its time and effort leveraging sunshine as a means to help with that problem it has around electricity and energy and all that. Jamaica, any country that has sunshine in abundance should be really leveraging sunshine to help it fight some of its challenges when it comes to energy. I don't think we do the best job of that. But no, Trump talks a lot about a lot of different stuff. But if you want to prevent the competition from eroding your presence in a country, then what you should do is support the country more. Oh, I want to mention this one thing which really bothers me. I'm gonna drink some water first. If you want to call in, people, you can call in. Come in, done the program soon. Two things before I go. One is this: Hurricane Melissa was devastating for Jamaica. One of the worst things that happened this year in this part of the region between Haiti and Jamaica, mainly Jamaica. But it's also one of the most encouraging things I saw as for the Jamaica, which is how Jamaicans rally both locally and abroad to help the country get back on its feet, at least the southern part of the country and some parts of the West, sort of recover from this devastation, which is still ongoing. A lot of people have suffered greatly, but I was very encouraged by how much we saw, the empathy that we saw and the support that we saw, which was very encouraging. But in the same light, what was discouraging was the lack of financial support I saw from the industrialized countries. I saw where the UK gave Jamaica $2.5 million as part of the relief effort. And I don't cuss, but I cussed when I saw that number. I saw the US gave Jamaica some millions, but it wasn't the tens of millions. I forgot what the number was. I saw where South Korea gave Jamaica 300,000. We should give it back to them. And I know diplomatically it may not be the right thing to do, but I wouldn't take 300,000 from South Korea. I think that's disrespectful. I don't know what you would people do with $300,000. Yes, it can build a few houses, it can support people. You shouldn't give back things because you got it and it's free and you shouldn't give it back, but I think it's disrespect. The US give Israel $3 billion a year, whether it's through military equipment, otherwise, $3 billion for nothing, just getting $3 billion. I think Jamaicans provide a lot of support for the US in terms of intellectual capital, in terms of manpower, in terms of human capital. I think the US gave Jamaica less than $20 million. I forgot what the number was. I think that's disrespectful. But I don't expect that from the Trump regime. It's ridiculous for South Korea to give Jamaica $300,000. Like that's insulting. Even more insulting is a country that raped Jamaica, raped its resources, and leveraged its people, especially after World War II. Well, historically, but it's from the slaves to now, and give Jamaica $2.5 million. Like, go jump off a goddamn bridge. $2.5 million? What do you think? Jamaica was a colony of the British. They got so much resources from Jamaica, so much resources. All them sugar plantation that I saw the Jamaicans have. $2.5 million, like, or pounds, whatever it was, like, really? I don't think we have to give everything Brian Burke. I think it was a contribution, but I think $300 is. South Korea is a very rich country. The UK used to be rich. They're not rich as it used to be, but it's still a rich country. I think it tells you a lot about how, the European nations are going to give Ukraine, between grants and loans and something, over $100 billion to rebuild the country. I don't think Ukraine has done what Jamaica has done for Britain. Now, Britain is not part of Europe anymore, but I'm sure they're contributing significantly between weapons and money. I don't understand. But I do understand. I think when you have adversity, you know who your true friends are. These people are not our friends. They're just not. And friends give to show how much they care, and they don't care. They talk a good talk, but $300,000 a country is giving? That's a ridiculous. I mean, it's actually sad. We're very sad, but it is what it is. It is what it is. I'm sure the diaspora and local Jamaica will help the country to recover in its totality, but that's going to take some time. A lot of people have suffered, but it's very disappointing to see people who have resources just hoarding those resources and don't want to share it. But then they expect you to support them in different ways. But anyway, people not calling in, so I'm going to close the program out. It's been interesting. As Dr. Don says, we'll do a program. Hopefully more people will turn in. I'll give more time for the session. Talk about a couple of these, I call it a panel discussion with Dr. Don, and then talk about some of the diseases that we talked about that afflicts our communities. And hopefully you can join us. And we'll have a good time. It's always a good conversation to talk to you. As I said, I'm in a different place for the next 2 weeks. It's a little bit challenging trying to get all your equipment together and be in a comfortable spot to then have the conversation with you. So we'll continue to do so. We may talk some sports at another time, but tonight wasn't a sports night. And by the way, when it comes to sports, my Knicks are doing well. My Arsenal are going through a very difficult time. My Jamaica national team is confused. And I want to say this before I go, actually. I was saying this to someone the other day. And this is going to sound arrogant and egotistical, but I'm going to say it anyway. There is no way, and you may say, here Cranky goes, think he's smart again. I think there is a less than 1% chance that if I was running Jamaica Football Federation, we wouldn't go to the World Cup. I truly believe this. And for many people who I know, actually, there's a less than 1% chance, I think, if I was running the JFF, that we wouldn't go to the World Cup for a lot of different reasons. I find it mind-boggling, frustrating. I'm not sure how to describe it. The ineptitude, the lack of know-how, the incompetence. I just find it amazing that we're not in the World Cup. I see all these teams going to the World Cup. I see Curacao going to the World Cup. And I realize that the people who run the football, even though they won't give it up, have no idea what good looks like. They've never been in an organization that truly excel, and it's so frustrating to watch all this transpire and realize we're not going to the World Cup. And in my lifetime, we won't go to the World Cup again. And then I hear some permanent interim GenSec talking about, oh, we shouldn't use the diaspora anymore. We should focus on the locally developed players, as I call them. And this is going to sound derogatory. The locally undeveloped players, poor players. The one encouragement I heard more recently was the Excelsior coach talking about when he took the job, one of the things that he mandated was the players had to go to class. The players had to go to schoolwork. The players had to meet the minimum academic requirements to be part of his program. I think this is such a laudable position to take. And I'm so happy that he won, and that persons who have certain principles, which are the right principles to have, can actually have success and not compromise their principles. I think that's such a great thing to do. And when we talk about principles, and I think about the US, and I think about the US government, and I think about the lack of humanity, I just struggle, to be honest. I really struggle that people don't realize that, we say 2025 is almost over. That life is a very short thing. It's very, very short. And then when you're 15, 16, 17, it looks like that's a long way to go. People were 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. That's such a distant place. But trust me, it's very short. And the fact that human beings can't just have the perspective of, you know what? We want everybody while they're here to enjoy this life experience, because it's short and they're going to leave this earth at some point. We want them all to have some experience. So, you know what? I'll pay a little more taxes to facilitate that, to make it happen. I will reduce some of my cravings and my greed to allow others to benefit. I find it amazing that people don't have the disposition and the desire for those things to happen. I just don't understand how human beings can operate that way. I just don't. I don't understand the greed. I don't understand the lack of humanity. I don't understand people being, and I consider killing people at sea who surrender to be uncivilized. The people who have the suits on and talk a good game, they're uncivilized. And they like to call people in the old days, the Indians, they're uncivilized. No, you're uncivilized. Unless you don't know what the hell uncivilized means. I just don't understand that. And what we each should do as our New Year's resolution is to ensure that we have empathy for people whether they like us or not like us. We support humanity in its purest form. We don't compromise our principles, the ones that are humane, and we just make an effort to be good people. I just find it very disturbing when the people that have the power can just kill people and they don't bat an eyelid. Or people can die of a certain persuasion and they don't give a damn. Or you can mistreat people and we just think it's okay. Or you can denigrate countries and call them S-hole and all sort of stuff, and immediately just brush it off and move on. I find that difficult. Voice said, I saw a kid wearing a Reggae Boy jersey today, and I honestly got upset knowing that Jamaica is not going to the World Cup. Yeah, it's when you make certain comments and people get mad at you and say you think you know it all and blah blah blah, you just look at them and and they think they're smart. They really do. I just realized that they don't know what they think they know, and it's very disappointing. Because going to the World Cup, the pride that you have as a country, you're part of an environment, the biggest sporting event on the planet, and you're there, you're just participating. Because someone I won't mention who sent me something the other day, and they were saying that how much FIFA is paying out for the World Cup, 6 point something million pounds, and then 1 million of preparation costs. And the person who sent me, they say, well, so they are. I know it hurt that person that Jamaica won't be there. And all of us who are football fans should be very upset with the administration. Because even though the players are the one playing on the field, they don't recruit themselves. They don't pick themselves. We have people who have been given the authority to run the program. They've been elected to represent the country and the population and their constituent. And they have done an awful, awful job. Awful job. And we are paying for it. Because as fans, we just want the team to do well. And we want to support the team. And we thought it's going to be the one World Cup where the three best teams in the region are not going. We're going to be going in a country with 60 or 85,000 people is going and we're not going. It's crazy. Bless up, Romaine Newman. Good night, Ted Dexter. Boy, you guys come late. I'm ready to close the program down. It's really crazy that we're not going. But there's a lot more to talk about. We'll have another program for the year is up, maybe 2. We'll talk more about some of these subjects. I want to do a program on Trump, just Trump, period. I know Jamaica had an election this year. The JLP won again. So they must be doing something right. Get elected, 3 terms? State 3rd term? Must be doing something right. People support them. The election before last, the turnout was poor. I think this one's a little bit better. Say, why was Whitmore fired? He got the team to the Gold Cup final a few years ago. Whitmore was there a long time, so I can understand why people may want to change. But the people who fire Whitmore, it's not about Whitmore per se. If you look at the football program I always run, there's like a thought in how they operate, and like a fundamental thought in how they operate. It's like basic, elementary way of running a business. Think about the JFF and football as a business. It's just poorly run. And any business poorly run eventually will fail. JD and I were good in the JFF. I don't know. The JFF is an interesting organization. It's run by people who have a really high regard for themselves and really high opinion of themselves. And when you watch how they run the program, you realize that some of that confidence may be misplaced. And we all pay for it because we all love the football. We all take pride in how well the country does, but yeah. Yeah, I have a lot of friends, especially the ones that used to be in corporate, who warned me a lot of time about talking about Trump. Then after you see what happened with CBS, where CBS pulled the 60-minute episode, you realize how powerful Trump is. But every superhero has a kryptonite. Every superhero has a kryptonite. And we may be seeing the kryptonite for that superhero right now. Every superhero is a kryptonite, and we may be seeing that kryptonite for that superhero. We'll see how it plays out. Because no matter how much they're going to hide information that they disseminate and they send out to the public, the Epstein estate probably has a corresponding aspect of that, what they put out. Bless up Jamaica vibes. So it should be interesting. I'm sure the Epstein estate have those same tapes. They talk about 300 gigabytes of information. And somebody texted me tonight. One person texted me and said, they said, I won't say that, they said Black is a XYZ. You know, talking about Black, Leon Black. Leon Black was the head of Apollo, an investment management firm that, and he's a billionaire. And he parted with the firm because he was very involved with Epstein. And it was alleged that he gave Epstein $150 million. Now, anybody give you $150 million, people? Oh, for consulting services. As I say at Jamaica, what you consult about so? $150 million? I say at Jamaica, what money that now? That's a lot of money. Well, I mean, if he takes away my citizenship and the way things are going, that becoming more of a possibility for a lot of people. One is there had to be cause for that, but even so, who knows nowadays? The cause may be because you're Black. But so where would I go if they take it away? I do have a couple citizenship. I can't go back to Jamaica. A couple people that look for me. So I may have to go to the UK. Who knows? I don't know where I go. We'll figure that out. I don't know. I'm a person who believe in, you got to speak your mind. If things bother you, speak about it. Don't be intimidated. What's the word on the street now that we see DR Congo play today? I actually didn't watch the game, so I don't know what it is, but I think Jamaica's chance of making the World Cup are remote. Don't leave America before the next election. Here's what's funny about that, Romaine Newman, if you don't think about it. The only person in Trump's cabinet who is exempt from prosecution or who has immunity is Trump. But it actually doesn't really matter, because what he will do when he leaves office, he's going to pardon every single person that worked for him in his cabinet. So even Bondi, who now is alleged is hiding law information to protect Trump. And what you hear a lot of people say is, well, Trump, none of the victims or nobody says Trump has done anything that is bad. And so therefore, why wouldn't he release the files? They're so gullible. People are so gullible, people. The only reason you want to not send those files is because you have incriminating evidence in those files. It has to be. Why else would you want to, especially for somebody like him who don't care about anybody but himself? It has to be. So when people saying this, when I hear Marjorie Taylor Greene and others saying this, by the way, I have no idea what happened to Marjorie Taylor Greene. Those of you who know Marjorie Taylor Greene is, she was a congresswoman from Georgia who was a big Trump supporter, probably the most staunch Trump supporter. All of a sudden, she got upset and turned against Trump. She said over the Epstein file and situation, but it's more than that. We don't know the real story. But it's amazing how she has turned. Like some MAGA, it's amazing how she has turned, because she's an isolationist. she wants to focus on America, she says, and blah, blah, blah. But everybody have their own personal reason why they do stuff. And they will say they're nationalists or they're patriots, but they're not. It's always about the individual. No, I mean, Vance doesn't have to pardon him. Trump will pardon himself. Knowing how the U.S. works. Pardon himself, I mean, the Supreme Court is Trump lackey, frankly, so. Nah, I don't think that's it. Waymaker, there's more to the story. There's more to the story. By the way, people, if you haven't subscribed to the channel or your family haven't subscribed, please do so. We're trying to get to 7,000 by end of the year. You know, I'm stuck at 6,900, whatever the number is. I need 100 and something to get to 7,000. So help me get there. A leftist. America's not picking a leftist. What has J.D. Vance done to win? J.D. Vance was one of Trump's biggest critics before he got co-opted. She was kicked out of the circle of trust. I don't know. I mean, there's always something that we don't know about what drives some of these decisions. When Trump was doing all this nonsense, she still supported him. He did some bad stuff, and all of a sudden she got religion. Like, really? I don't think so. A Democrat would be left. It doesn't mean he's a leftist. Could be a moderate. Could be an independent. Do you think someone would visit The Hague but would not be going on vacation? That's an interesting question. Don't know. Look. If you look at what happened in Brazil, you guys must know the Brazil situation, right? The former president of Brazil did the same thing Trump did. One got elected to be president and one gets sent to jail. I still find it amazing that everybody keeps talking about affordability, immigration. What else? Other ancillary topics as the primary reason as to why Democrats lost the White House. Because nobody want to face the truth that the reason why Trump got elected was because of race. I know people can talk about quoting this statement about, is the economy stupid? I'm sorry. The economy is part of it. But the main reason why I got elected is because of race. You can't convince me otherwise. And yes, people are struggling financially. And Biden didn't help himself. In fact, the Democrats didn't help themselves by what they did with Biden, who was past his prime and just wasn't functional. But you can't convince me otherwise. That race wasn't primary in the decisions that led to the U.S., the Trump winning another election. I mean, the man tried to overthrow the government. That's not even debatable. That's not debatable. And the Democrats they took forever to get the case to a point where he could be tried. Now, I know that there was a lot of stall tactics employed by his lawyers, but these judges, were some of them were elected by a Democratic president or Democratic Senate, appointed by Democratic presidents. They did an awful job of moving the case through the system. Obviously, the Supreme Court would probably delay it further because they wanted Trump to win. And when they call in the Supreme Court, you shouldn't use the word Supreme in the Supreme Court. I'm sorry. Well, Harris was not prepared because she got a basket to carry water, and it was really not a good situation. Biden was selfish. Biden reminds me, Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Biden, to me, Ruth who stayed too long on the Supreme Court and should have given her position up to another Democrat. And Biden, who was selfish, he was losing mental faculties and still remained, they have pushed America back 20 years, 30 years, back to the Stone Age, for Christ's sake. The people that surround Trump you got some evil people. Evil people, like evil. And that's what I struggle with. I don't understand why evil is so pervasive. Now, the Democrats didn't do themselves really well. Look, what people fail to realize is this, is that even though the U.S. went through a tough time during COVID, the U.S. came in a COVID better than any other country. Go look at Europe, which probably had, I don't call it a true recession, but limited or no growth. And the U.S. had growth, came out reasonably okay. I mean, inflation was high in 2022. But that's why Trump lost the election. Trump lost the election based on how he handled the situation with COVID. And Biden lost the situation based on how he handled the situation with COVID. But also he handled immigration. But mainly because, to me, even though those two factors, people basically said, we want our country back. And you hear Vance talking about babies and how they want babies, and Musk having as many babies as he can. When they say babies, now people, they mean Caucasian babies. They don't mean black babies. They don't mean Hispanic babies. They don't mean Asian babies. They're talking about more Caucasian babies. The election was stolen from Trump. God. Why they had to lose? The majority was tired of them. Okay. But I hope the majority are happy about what they're getting. Man say go fix inflation in a day. Did he fix it? I predict either AI or Epstein will fire Trump. One of those two. Epstein or AI will fire Trump. He probably won't finish his term. He probably will not finish his term. It's going to be ugly. Yeah, I mean, in Michigan, I think Kamala was in a really bad spot when it comes to the Gaza situation, the Israeli Gaza situation, because it was a catch-22. You either go against the Israelis, and then you have all that firepower in the U.S. coming at you, or you support them, and then the individuals who are Palestinian or who are Arabs in nature, who are Arabs in terms of persuasion, they will vote against you, like in Michigan. So you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. There is no win-win. It's only a lose-lose situation. She chose, the side she chose didn't get her over the line. Didn't get her over the line. But it wasn't necessarily about Kamala. I mean, she may not have been the right candidate. I think she pushed back on Netanyahu, She pushed back. Go watch when she avoided Netanyahu when he came to the US and they made a big deal about it. When she said she had a conflicting event, she didn't go. She didn't support Netanyahu. A lot of Jews don't support Netanyahu, by the way, people. This misconception like all Jews are the same. All Jewish people don't support Netanyahu. But he has support of Congress. He has support of Trump, who doesn't really give a damn, but he has their support. So it may appear that way, but no, I mean, Kamala is a bad situation. And she lost her move on. But I hope those of you, especially ones in the chat who voted for Trump, I hope you're happy with your president. I hope he's making you happy. I hope he's satisfied with your expectation. Because I think it's really interesting, actually, some things that he's doing. And all these Hispanic people who supported him and voted for him and having regrets, I feel no empathy or sympathy for you. I hope he continues to, I don't want him to hurt the people who are being deported or But I hope he continues to disappoint you. Because you deserve it. You have to vote your conscience when you're voting people. I don't think she's running in 2028. I don't think she should. I think Newsom from California is the one person out there who is the front runner. But then front runner is strange, right? Who's the front runner today may not be the front runner tomorrow. 2028 is right around the corner, but it's a long way away. The World Cup is next year, summer. And then you go into the World Cup? I haven't even looked at tickets yet. I don't know if I'm going to any game. We'll see how that works out. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to do a lot of shows on the World Cup, actually, leading up to the World Cup and during the World Cup. Uja Youth seems like he's a Republican. You're a Republican, Uja Youth? Watch Booker. America not ready to elect another black person. Yep, Brian, I hope they are. I hope he continues to provide them what they so desire and think he was going to provide. I don't know any person who's not Caucasian vote for Trump, including women who are Caucasian, actually. I wouldn't consider you logical, Ujayo. To the contrary. Yeah, I don't think Cory Booker is going to run for president. Everybody think running for president is easy until they start doing it. Then realize how hard it is. But anyway, people, it's almost 11 o'clock. It's about 2 hours I've been on. I appreciate those of you who joined me late. It was an impromptu show prompted by someone who just want to have a conversation, which was really, really good. And I hope we can have some more conversation before the year is out. And if we don't, I hope you have a excellent Christmas with you and your family. I'm buying a lot of presents this Christmas. I went shopping yesterday. I didn't get a chance to go shopping today. I'm going shopping tomorrow. Finish out buying these presents. I'm closing my eyes and just give out the credit card. So you do the same. But make sure you have money to pay it off early next year. And tell me what when we have a next show, tell me what you need. I have my New Year's resolution, actually. Tell me what yours is, and what we're going to do is check in mid-year, quarter year, mid-year, and 9 months in to see how well you're doing your New Year's resolution. I'm going to write them down, actually. So you give me your New Year's resolution. I'm going to write them down. Did you watch the piece, Candace Owen? I don't watch Candace Owen, people. Candace Owen, to me, is one of those... we call some people Uncle Tom. I'm going to call her Uncle Jane, who, when she went and made her bunny on the other side by denigrating, belittling her people and destroying her people, then she want to come back and join us. I say go to hell. Sorry. Keep your millions. Stay where you are. You got 6 million subscribers. Keep growing that number, but my name is not going to be on there. You're not a good person. Clarence Thomas, Marcellus Wiley, Candace Owen, Nicki Minaj. Who else I saw? What's the name of that guy, that overweight guy used to come on Fox? I can't remember his name. All of them to me are in a bucket, should be rolled on a hill. No, I don't listen to anybody, everyone. I used to listen to everybody. I don't listen to everybody. I don't listen to Candace Owen anymore. I've heard enough. And I'm starting to tune out Stephen A. Smith, actually. I just think at some point, I want to be like those people. I'm going to be like those people are. Divisive, dismissive. I don't want to hear from them. I don't want to see them. I want to be in their space. You stay in your world, I stay in my world. Jason Whitlock. Yes, Jason Whitlock. All those people need to put in a bucket and roll on a hill. They're all the same to me. All the same. They're just not good people. They may be skin folk, but as they say, they're not kinfolk. I like an echo chamber. Yeah. Like a lot of chambers. Yeah, I don't know where Nicki Minaj, yeah, she's joined that group. Some people are very profitable to be on one side, you know. As Michael Jordan says, Republicans buy sneakers too, so I'm sure they see the benefit of being in that group and having People in power be part of their whole equation. Byron Donalds too. Yeah, I haven't really listened to him that much. I don't know. But hey, it is really interesting where a lot of people were very supportive of the revised immigration policies and deporting people. And then they realized the message that was sent that they're deporting just criminals and people who committed crime. That was never the real goal. The real goal is to provide, the truly real goal is to keep Caucasians as the majority in this country. That's the goal. You do that by having more kids and deporting people who are not Caucasians. That's all it is. He is? I don't know about that. Things may change. We'll see what happens. We'll see the Republican Party, the Republicans in Florida, as we saw in Miami, even though Kamala did win Miami by one percentage point. We'll see if there's no vote in Florida to prevent him from occurring that. But Donald didn't get anything in the Trump cabinet. He's not kinfolk, frankly. Yeah, but Donald is not kinfolk. Yeah, he may, but I don't know. He's just not a good person. I think he has a criminal background. So shouldn't he get deported? He has a criminal background. Shouldn't they revoke his citizenship? I'm sure I read someplace he had a criminal background. But then you don't want criminals to get pardoned. Well, Vivek, I love the Vivek story. I love the Vivek story. I hope more of these occur. I love the Vivek story. Yeah, and I hope it continues. Kick them out. They don't realize they're not part of the group. It's an exclusive club. You don't belong in it. Democrats and liberals are the same. Too much nastiness. I think Democrats are too nice. I would be much worse. I believe in fighting fire with fire. Democrats are too nice. Republicans will cry bloody murder when some things occur. And when they do the same thing, they feign obliviousness. They just, what are you talking about? As they don't get it. They do the most despicable things, and then Democrats trying to take the high road. But now Democrats are saying we're not taking the high road anymore. Republicans can't deal with it. But anyway, people, let me close out the evening by saying this. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you being here. I said that already. Please have a wonderful evening, and please also enjoy the time with your family. Family time is precious. Things are challenging. 2026 will be a defining year. We said it all the time, but I think it will. Given AI, World Cup is here. Jamaica trying to qualify for the World Cup. USA, Canada, Mexico in the World Cup, along with Curacao, Panama, no Costa Rica, no Honduras, no Jamaica, Haiti in the World Cup, Haiti in the World Cup, Haiti in the World Cup. Congrats to Haiti. Difficult circumstances, country in turmoil. They did better than Jamaica in a tougher zone. God, can't make it up. But anyway, have a good night. Thanks for being here. And I'll see you when I see you, everyone. Peace out.